Today's Monster Hunter Rise video is going to be all about Akuma and his grand appearance into the universe. I'm going to put this video in my Monster Hunter Wilds playlist. Please check it out. While you're down there, please consider subscribing to the channel. I got a lot of really good game videos coming out, a lot of good tutorials on Monster Hunter specifically that you may have overlooked. And even if you're a new player, fear not, you can jump in and, with a little bit of grinding, get into this content pretty quickly. And I think I have tried to bridge that gap. For a lot of people, I know this game comes off as a little too much, but I promise you, I have broken it down in a way that makes it easy to jump in and play. And it is my game of the year. I already said this before, and it remains to be the fact today. Now, let's talk all about Akuma. What do you think about this guy? Well, interesting crossover that Monster Hunter did here. What they decided to do was to lean on the quirky side of Monster Hunter. You know, Monster Hunter kind of dabbles back and forth, right? We got those kind of quirky, goofy quests, and then we have those quests that have a little more levity to them, things that matter a little bit more, you know, like the fate of the world or people dying, right? Like, you start to kind of see the difference between the two. They're leaning more on the fun here, and I think that is totally fine. What you're going to do is you're going to take on a side quest to go find Akuma, who's basically going around and beating the absolute snot out of everybody with his bare fists. After you do a couple arena quests and you can craft his layer armor, he will give you his fighting spirit, which essentially is his skin. And now you become Akuma, and you can run around and you can throw Hadoukens and Shoryukens, and you can kind of teleport around the map a little bit and have some fun and just basically beat the absolute snot out of monsters with your bare fists. And it is tons and tons and tons of fun. It looks and plays phenomenally. They've even added in some special animations for when an enemy is defeated. You can even buy some additional DLC for Alma to make her look like Chun-Li. You can even buy some stuff for your Palico to make him or her look like Blanka. So you are a full Street Fighter kit. You're a full team that Street Fighter has basically taken over the universe, and I love it. I think they did just enough to keep the essence of Monster Hunter in the game. And I think they've done enough just to add in a sprinkle of Street Fighter goodness, and I really do like what they did with this crossover. So, how does it work? You get Akuma, okay, well, you gotta keep in mind Street Fighter, obviously a very dedicated 2D fighting game, right? There are tons and tons of moves and button combinations between like light kicks and heavy kicks and punches and ups and downs and lefts and rights and all these colorful things. Okay, well, we don't have that in Monster Hunter, obviously. We're in a 3D world where you have to dodge roll and use items and perfect block and all these kind of things. So how did they kind of figure out how to merge those two worlds together? Well, they decided to do it through the item bar, which honestly, looking back on it now, having played with this character for a few days, watching some other guides and tutorials on it, it makes sense, right? You'll notice on the bottom right of my screen, I now have an item called Assisted Combo Akuma. By leaving that item on, kind of like equipped, you know, not a ghillie suit or not a hunting net or a first aid potion, by leaving that item on, that is what is going to basically allow you to do the Akuma move set, for lack of a better word. And how it works is you have to start every combo with your attack button, which is, you know, it makes sense, right? I mean, this is a fighting game, you're going to be attacking. But as soon as you hit that, that is what opens up kind of his move set. So by using a combination of different attack buttons, starting with square always start with your attack button, you're going to be able to pull off like Shoryuken or Hadouken inside the game. You're not going to have to switch through any other items or radials or menus to be able to perform that. And it's kind of nice that they added this feature in if you want it. So if you are a Street Fighter main, right? You love Street Fighter, this is going to be second nature to you. And if you play Monster Hunter, well, this should kind of be second nature to you because you know that some of the more advanced movesets require you to, you know, attack once and then pause for a second and then attack again, or alternate between two different types of attacks to be able to, or two different button presses to kind of unlock additional movesets. As a sword and board guy, I can tell you I'm constantly cycling between all of my attack buttons, able to pull off some of my more powerful attacks, right? So like a spinning reaper is, you know, it's a button press, and then it's a pause, and then it's another button press. Well, same thing applies here for Akuma, right? Now, you have those moves that are built into the game menu that will help you, shoot off your Hadoukens and your Shoryukens like a pro. You also have an additional way to do this, and that is also through that item menu on the bottom. They have mapped in each of these individual moves down in the bottom for you to utilize, which is really, really nice. So if you are struggling a little bit on the moves and you're just like, man, I just want to shoot fireballs, well, there is a way to do that. You can actually equip a piece of slinger ammo, which will basically turn your slinger into the Hadouken. You can just stand there and just spam the button. It's very, very easy. And it works out really, really well. Now, you do have to cycle a little bit, whether you are using radials or if you're like me, just old school grinding L1, R1 to cycle through the bottom right-hand corner. Either way, it'll work for you to be able to pull off the moves that you want. And ultimately, when it's all said and done, you should be a lean, mean fighting Akuma machine. Now, I am far from that. I play a very different style. My style is just basically get my face kicked in for about 3 minutes while I talk over it. But the idea is Akuma is a very, very close range aggressive fighter. Now, as a guy who's a sword and board main, well, this works out for me because typically I am standing in front of a monster doing my perfect blocks, trying to get some stuns, trying to get some defensive / offensive things opened up so that I can punish when an enemy gets stunned. Akuma is really no different. You're going to basically be doing lots of very aggressive punches and kicks, and you're going to be trying to open up those wounds to pull off some of his really powerful finishing moves to basically obliterate monsters. And I could say it is pretty strong. I think I'm still a little bit better with sword and board, but I obviously appreciate that they've put this system in for me to play with, and the fact that I can have a cosmetic skin to actually look exactly like the character running around is actually really, really impressive. My only complaint with this is that the way that his weapon damage is calculated, right? And here's that cool finish I was telling you about. I mean, this is awesome, right? Like, look at this thing. Look at all that damage just blowing up on the screen. You get tattooed in the back. It's really, really fun, right? Very, very punishing. But the only way to get the best damage is to have your primary weapon equipped. Because what it does is it takes all of your weapon damage and it kind of morphs it into Akuma stats. And that's what, when you punch, even though I'm not actually equipping my sword, the slot of the attack slot, basically, all of those stats are rolled into my punch. If I took my sword off and it looked a lot more like Akuma, not me holding a shield and a sword, my damage would be significantly lower. So my biggest complaint is they haven't figured out a way yet to kind of hide that cosmetic so that you can just be Akuma, not Akuma with a sword and a shield or a heavy gun bow on his back or a hammer or whatever. But if you want to play and look like Akuma, but still use your regular traditional weapons, well, you can do that too, which I do appreciate because he looks really freaking menacing. It's very fun. I mean, yes, I love my armor, of course. I love grinding for, that glam, right? We always talk about the Elden bling. You want to look the part, right? I get it. But if you want to have something different, well, you could just pop this layer armored on and you are off to the races and you're able to do that too. So I like it, but like I said, I wish they would just fix that one thing. It's probably some weird game mechanic thing in the background that I don't entirely understand. But I will say that overall, I think they did a really, really good job with this. I think it's rewarding and fun, and I think that, being able to add in a little bit of Street Fighter flair into the game, adding in that, Akuma wins and, the music blaring at the end and getting all the new things and the cosmetics are a lot of fun. And I appreciate that they continue to find fun crossovers and fun events. There are other major Capcom franchises that we know are coming. This is the first one for the game, and if they're all like this, well, I think we're going to be eating good, boys and girls. All right, that'll wrap up today's video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.